14.
15. Verse 9.
Yep. All right. So one of the things I know, like, supposedly one of the things that I didn't mention last week is that in Revelation 14:6-20, there are 7 angels that are listed. A first angel, second angel, third angel. Then we're going to read about another angel, then another angel, then another angel, then another angel. And so we're going to read about these 7 angels that seem to be preparing us for chapter 15, which is the 7 plagues. So last week we looked at the first angel, which was flying in midair. Then the second angel follows, announcing fallen, fallen is Babylon. And now we come to a third angel in verse 9. So that's where we left off. A third angel followed them and said in a loud voice, "If anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark on the forehead or on the hand, he too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. There is no rest day or night for those who worship the beast and his image, or for anyone who receives the mark of his name. This calls for patient endurance on the part of the saints who obey God's commandments and remain faithful to Jesus." So first of all, before we comment, what do you see here? What are some of the things that maybe jump out at you?
Heed my warning.
Heed my warning. Okay.
Sounds like my mother. Wish I didn't.
I was about to say, did you?
Yeah.
There's consequences for your actions. You know, if you worship the beast, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Forever.
It really is, pardon the expression, damned if you do and damned if you don't. I mean, it's almost the expression, because you look at the 144,000, what was their fate? Death. Yeah, death. And so you have those who refuse to worship the beast, and they get death. Those who actually choose to worship the beast get death. Really bad
permanent
death. Like really, really, really bad death. That's the thing. So yeah, it's a tough time to be living during the tribulation period. A very tough time to be living. If anyone worships the beast in his image and receives his mark on the forehead or on the hand. What's interesting is if you go back to the beginning of chapter 14, where was the mark of the 144,000?
Forehead.
Written on their foreheads. So now we're not really told here what is the mark? Is this a tattoo? Is it a chip implant? What is the mark of the beast? We're not really told what this is. Many have speculated.
So King James says, in the forehead.
Oh, really? Okay.
What does yours say?
On the forehead. I will tell you that the Greek can be in or on.
Okay. And I've heard this, it could be a chip, when you said a chip, or something in your forehead. It doesn't have to be. So I've heard many different.
Yeah.
Monster Energy.
Yeah,
the Monster Energy logo.
Those who drink the Monster Energy are going to be, But it is interesting that there is some sort of delineating mark as far as we can tell. Like I said, how is it going to be like a UV light, like the black light that you get, or we're not really told.
I was going to say, is it visible or is it not?
We don't.
Well, not that
if it's
matters, but
Well,
it seems to be permanent.
It
That's
would
the thing.
Right.
Wouldn't
seems
it have
to
to
be
be
permanent.
visible?
and
Or is it
readable
just
by
visible to the angel?
Well, I'm just saying, like you said, it could be like a UV light or a scanner,
A scanner.
QR code
Or
type
QR
deal,
code.
you know?
The
Yeah.
I
QR
don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think about, like, for the Shema, they would have it visible, like someone would literally tape the scroll on their forehead or have
They
it
tie
wrapped,
it. Yep.
wrapped around their hand. So I would imagine it's visible, especially if you need it to buy it and sell and trade. It would have to be something that's easily identifiable. So
Yeah.
is everyone going to have a UV light? Hey, you got it?
Well, you know, they talk about, I don't know if you guys have heard about this nanotechnology stuff. You know, have you guys heard about that at all?
It's so fascinating.
A little bit.
It's
they just put little bugs
No.
inside you.
Yeah,
and
they-
they do a job and they
Yeah.
do whatever. And
Yeah, they put a chip in you, and then that chip actually
Where do tattoos
scans
fall?
your body with this nano technology. That it's fascinating what they're doing, but
Scary too.
you think, okay, yeah, hey, let's put this chip in you. I mean, it's just kind of scary to think about.
Well, if they could cure all my ailments, that would be good.
You might take the mark of the beast, then, huh? Okay.
and most of us here, I believe, are hoping to be
Not all
past
of
that
us.
point.
Out of here.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Before we ever
The
get
rapture
to
never
tribulation
happened.
period.
That's right.
Because then we don't have to experience those temptations or those no food or there no water or
Yeah.
there's no and whatever else, you know, that would happen, and you can't die even if you want to, and
I wonder if
But-
it would be invisible because, I mean, the enemy already wants to plant people in our lives that can twist the word. So if we can see they have the mark and we haven't taken it yet, well, we're going to avoid them.
so your levy is that there probably is no way for just regular people to see that they've already accepted the mark.
I mean, if I was Satan and wanted to take a few more people down, I
Right.
would be incognito and
But isn't there somewhere in here, or maybe it's just
But actions are very leading, I think, in this too. Is
like if you don't accept it though, don't you? Or isn't it? There's somewhere that I read that you're kind of killed if you don't accept it at some
You
point.
can't buy or sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but then you might be
Yeah.
part of the 144,000.
But are the 144,000 still alive at this point?
No.
Marked on.
So
No,
they're
You're saying definitely that there's none of them left.
Well, that's what we read at the beginning of the chapter.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, in the beginning of chapter
They
14,
were martyred.
there I looked before me, and was the Lamb standing on Mount Zion. With him was the 144,000. And the Mount Zion early in chapter 14
heaven.
was heaven. It's the Mount Zion of heaven, which is spoken of in Hebrews.
But you don't know if that's present or future or past.
Correct, but when I looked, it says, "Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb," which was beginning of chapter 14, verse 1. Then verse 6. Then I saw another angel flying in midair, and he had the eternal gospel. A second angel followed, a third angel followed them. So it seems like he sees this vision of the 144,000 at the throne, and then after that, he then sees these angels that are carrying out their business.
But that
So-
hasn't happened yet either.
In terms of happened yet revelation,
Still future from today.
absolutely
Oh,
future
yeah.
from today.
So Jen said, are all of 144,000 already passed away?
No,
yeah,
she's saying
in
at
context
this
of
time.
this verse.
By the
Okay.
In
time,
context
so
of verse
I'm saying-
9.
yeah. So you're right. So have they passed? Well, as far as we can tell, they're not even here yet.
So my statement was, during tribulation, you could be stepped on by the beast and become one of these 144,000.
Well, the 144,000 are chosen earlier on in Revelation, and they go and they do their witnesses. They do their witnessing, but then by the time we get to 14, they've all been killed. That's what it reads like. That they had been sealed earlier in the tribulation. They did their stuff on the earth, and then by the time we get to 14, they're all dead. They're all at the
Right.
at the throne.
And that's what my statement is. During tribulation, you could be your demise, but you would still become one of these 144,000. Not at this point,
Right.
But pre to this, you're still in tribulation.
Well,
time.
we know the 144,000 are 12,000 from each tribe. So these were specifically chosen out of the nation of Israel, 12,000 from each tribe.
Okay.
So, yeah. Now, to your point, though, Ed, when we talked about it back in Revelation, I guess it was 7, verse 9, after this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, language, people, and language, standing before the throne and in front of the Lamb. I think that group is those who believed from the 144,000. So maybe that is more what you're saying.
And it's still futuristic, though, from today.
From today, absolutely. Yep. Yep. But the actual 144,000 seem to be Jewish.
Jewish, right.
Yeah.
From the tribe.
Directly
from the tribe.
From the tribes, yeah. Yeah.
Which is a good thing. That at least means he's accepting some of the tribes back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So they take this mark on the forehead or on the hand. He too will drink. If anyone worships the beast in his image, he too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. The word there for poured is actually the word mixed. So I think probably KJV has mixed. Is that mixed in there in KJV?
Mine's mixed.
Yeah, mixed. So that's really, so it's the idea that it wasn't just wine, it's wine with spices. That was, they would mix, they had mixed drinks back then too, I guess that's what you're saying, okay? So they would have this wine, but then they would mix certain other things with it. So what the picture here is that the wine, that the thing is that he too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been mixed full strength into the cup of his wrath. Now, what's the difference here? Why two words for fury and wrath?
It doesn't sound like you want to be drinking this elixir
No.
first.
I mean, you've got his anger and his vengeance going on there.
So what's really interesting is the word there for fury is the word thumos. Okay? It's the word thumos, and then the word for wrath is the word orge. Orge is the traditional word for anger or wrath, okay?
What verse is that?
This is in verse 10. He too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath.
ESV does the wine of God's wrath poured full strength into the cup of his anger.
Okay, so
I have indignation.
Okay,
that's better.
So the word orge traditionally means anger, much like the ESV here. Okay, but the word thumos is really, it's the word that we would use for passionate anger. So there is settled anger, and then there is provoked or passionate anger. So what he's getting at here is, if anyone worships the beast in his image, he will drink of the wine of God's passionate fury, his provoked fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. So you have anger, wrath in the cup. And then let's add in a little passionate fury as well. Kind of like, maybe as a parent, you know what it's like to be angry. And then you know what it's like to be passionately angry. Or you can be like Ed, when you're driving down the road. There's anger, and then there's passionate anger, right, Ed?
Give me a couple more lumps.
Like pouring salt in the wound. Talk about.
Yeah, there is a settled anger that has been building and building and building and building. Because think of all the way back to Genesis chapter 3 when sin entered the world. God hates sin. He hates what's going on. But it seems as if here in Revelation 14, it seems like the level of egregiousness goes up tenfold. You know, like it's not just these people are part of to drink of the wrath of God, but they're worshiping the beast, which seems completely contrary to everything about God. And that's why this cup has not just anger in it, but passionate fury gets mixed in with anger. So this drink is really strong.
Like he's come to the end of his patience.
Exactly. Like there's anger.
You have tested me just one too many times.
Yeah, I was angry already, but now I'm mad. This is a passionate.
God doesn't do that. He's love.
Yeah, that's right. God's just love, isn't he? So let's talk a little bit about this cup. We want to go back to the Old Testament. There's quite the verses back here. Psalm 75, verse 8.
75?
Yeah. You know what? There was a Steve McVeigh did a whole thing on even God's anger is love. It's just love passionately expressed. That was his. So even wrath is where it says God is love. So how do you explain God being love and a wrathful God?
So is wrath ever indicated scripturally that that's something God has or is?
Right,
You understand
right,
what I'm
right,
asking?
right.
Is it an attribute or an expression?
Yeah, God, no, because we know from Exodus where we see how God describes
34.
himself. Yeah,
Yeah.
34.
But that's more indicative of character. Okay.
Right,
Well,
but-
you're in Psalms.
Yeah.
I need to go on my own
Psalms-
journey. Sorry, guys.
Psalm 75 and verse 8. Who wants to read that? Read it nice and slow.
For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same. But the dregs earth shall wring them out and drink them. So I don't know what dregs means.
You don't know what dregs?
The low lives.
Isn't that like the very bottom of the cup with all of the garbage?
Well,
that's
that's he says the dregs of the earth. So I'm curious because the NIV reads it differently. So somebody
Yeah.
else has a
I have an IV here.
All right. So
In the hand of the Lord is a cup full of foaming wine mixed with spices. He pours it out, and all the wicked of the earth drink it down to its very dredge.
dregs.
Dregs.
ESV.
That dregs
Mine
is
reads
different.
way different than
Exactly.
that, too.
Exactly. So somebody want to read ESV or something? 75 verse 8.
Jump in there, Jerry. You got it.
That's what she read. So.
For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup with foaming wine, well mixed, and he pours out from it, and all the wicked of the earth shall drain it down to the dregs.
Okay. So what? So yeah, I mean, in this.
See the last bit of the particles in the. I don't know.
They're getting crunk.
Okay, all right. Let me give you an example. All right. So I remember as a kid growing up, my mom would give me cough medicine, and I would take the cough medicine, which tasted absolutely horrific, and I put it down. I don't want to finish it. So what does she say? Finish your cough medicine. So you got to sit there, hold it up, lick the thing out, whatever it was, to get every last little bit of this nasty cough medicine because I didn't want to drink it. That's the picture. The picture is there's the cup that has this awful, awful stuff, and it says, in the hand of the Lord is a cup full of foaming wine mixed with spices. This is this idea of orge and thumos together. or wrath and anger mixed up together. So it's a bad mixture. And it says he pours it out so you can see, open your mouth, and they're like, no, I don't want this. And you're like, open it up.
Not only are you going to get it,
Not only you're going to get it,
but
you're going to
lick the cup.
You're going to get this to the very last little bit, not a little bit. Oh, I've had enough. No, I'm sorry. You're getting the full thing. Now, once again, does this sound like the God of love? I mean, it's...
Well, your mom made you lick the bottom of the cup because you were sick and she wanted you to be better. So.
Well, right, exactly. What you going to say, Sally?
I evidently studied this at one time, and I wrote down in here, don't look to others for approval, look to God. That was in our lecture.
Interesting. From Psalm 75?
Mm-hmm.
Verse 8?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's written right there next to verse 8.
Somebody didn't have
I have a feeling that's written in regards to verse 7. But it is God who judges. He brings one down, he exalts another.
Yes.
Oh, it's verse 7.
Maybe.
I have a feeling the notes I was like, that does not sound like verse 8 at all. But so you can see from the picture here, a day will come when God's wrath will be poured out, and it will be drunk to the very last drop. All right.
By all unbelievers.
By all unbelievers, that's correct. Especially, at least in Revelation 14, specifically from those who take the mark of the beast. That's the thing. This wrath seems to be limited to those who do take the mark of the beast, which, if you don't take it, you can't buy food, you can't trade, you can't do that, and you're probably going to die anyway. But those who do, seems like there's a special punishment reserved for them, which seems awful. All right, Isaiah 51. Isaiah 51.
17.
51:17, yeah. How'd you know?
It's in my notes too. I'm always looking at the cross references.
All right, let's go ahead and read 17 through 23.
51:17.
Isaiah 51:17 through 23. So Jackie reads 17. We'll just go around and read a verse, going clockwise here.
Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, you who have drunk at the hand of the Lord the cup of his fury. You have drunk the dregs of the cup of trembling and drained it out.
Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah, of all of the sons she bore, there was none to guide her. All of the sons she reared, there was none to take her by the hand.
Isaiah 51, verse 19.
Oh, 51.
51, yeah, 19. Yeah.
$19.
51:19, yeah.
These two things are come unto thee, who shall be sorry for thee. Desolation and destruction, and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee?
Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of every street, like antelope caught in a net. They are filled with the wrath of the Lord and the rebuke of your God.
Therefore, hear this, you who are afflicted, who are drunk, but not with wine.
Thus says the Lord and your God, who pleads the cause of his people. See, I have taken out of your hand the cup of trembling, the dregs of the cup of my fury. You shall no longer drink it.
I will put it into the hands of your tormentors, who said to you, fall prostrate, that we may walk over you. And you made your back like the ground, like a street to be walked over.
So what's the picture here? You don't know.
Don't be a doormat, Israel.
Okay, Who wrote the book of Isaiah?
Isaiah.
Allegedly Isaiah. Unless there was Deuteronomy.
Oh, goodness. It was Isaiah. It was Isaiah. So Isaiah, when did Isaiah write Isaiah?
When he was living.
Good point.
Wow. That was good,
well
Sally.
Wow.
That was good, Sally.
Take a vacation and you get that kind of a.
Yeah.
Before my time.
Isaiah was written when Israel in the north was still around. Okay? Israel in the north was still around. Israel fell in 722 BC. Okay, so Israel in the north was still around. So Isaiah was written probably right around 750, 740, 730, right around that time.
Yeah, it says here 740 to 681.
Glad I was right.
Yeah, I'm glad you were too.
Good guess, huh?
That's right. That's right. I'll pay you later for confirming it,
Okay.
Sally. Okay.
Okay.
But Isaiah wrote this book, okay, and he wrote it to a people who were under attack by who?
Starts with an A.
Starts with an A. You're right.
Syria?
The Assyrians. Susan, you're right. Yep, the
Good job,
Assyrians.
Susan.
Yep. Yeah, tag team here. We got the A and then the Assyrians. Okay, and now bonus points for who the general was for the Assyrians.
Made himself king.
It was not Nebuchadnezzar.
Nope.
It was a
I love his name because it
snack
sounds
on
so.
a rib.
Yes, you're right.
Snack on a rib.
Sennacherib, or you could say
Snack on a rib.
snack on a rib. Yeah, that's right. That's how you won't forget it. Yeah, the Assyrian army was Mr. Snack on a Rib, but Sennacherib was his name. And so Israel to the north, they were being demolished by these people. And why? Isaiah 51 clearly tells us the reason why,
God's wrath.
because of God's wrath. But notice what it says here, verse 22. This is what your sovereign Lord says, your God who defends his people. Well, wait a second. How does he defend his people when he's beating the crap out of them? Well, because they deserved him. See, I have taken out of your hand the cup that made you stagger. From that cup, the goblet of my wrath, you will never drink again. I will put it into the hands of your tormentors, who said to you, fall prostrate that we may walk over you. And you made your back like the ground, like a street to be walked over. So the people, the opposing army was telling Israel, we've got you. We're going to do whatever we want to. And the reason why was because God was letting them do it. But he's looking forward to the day that this will be turned around, where no longer will Israel drink from that cup, but God will take that cup mixed with the fury of his wrath, and he will give it to his tormentors. So there's a near-far prophecy here. So the near fulfillment was Assyria to the nation of Israel here in Isaiah. But the far fulfillment is looking forward to the tribulation period, where during the early part of the tribulation period, they are drinking from the fury of God's wrath. God is purifying his people. But when all seems lost, when it seems like Babylon and all of her minions, when it seems like Babylon is totally taken over, God says, you've drunk long enough. All right, all of you beast worshipers, open your mouth. Now is your medicine.
And lick the cup.
And you're going to lick the cup all the way to the dregs. Yeah. Here's another one. Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51 is a very long chapter. Jeremiah's a long book. Yeah. If you want to read a depressing chapter, read Jeremiah 51. But what we see here in Jeremiah 51, once again, near and far. Verse 11. Well, you can see, look in verse 1. See, I will stir up the spirit of a destroyer against Babylon and against the people of Leb-Kamai. I will send foreigners to Babylon to winnow her and to devastate her land. They will oppose her on every side in the day of her disaster. Who does this? Look at verse 11. Sharpen the arrows, take up the shields. The Lord has stirred up the kings of the Medes, because his purpose is to destroy Babylon. The Lord will take vengeance for his temple. Remember, the Babylonians were the ones who completely destroyed the temple. God says, I'm going to raise up the Medes. So he calls them out. The Medes are going to be the ones that are going to take you out. And sure enough, what happened in history? They did. The Medes and the Persians came in and wiped out the Babylonians. And then they became the dominant world power. If we go down through this, but I want you to see, look at verse 7. Babylon was a gold cup in the Lord's hand. She made the whole earth drunk. The nations drank her wine, therefore they have now gone mad.
Deranged, mine says.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, she was a gold cup in the Lord's hand. In God's hand, Babylon was the cup that I used to judge. It was the cup of God's wrath, the cup of his fury.
Key word there.
Yeah, yes. And if you were to keep reading through the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, you would see all this stuff. This is what's coming, this is what's coming, this is what's coming.
Wow.
Yeah, but look at verse 52, or look at verse 51. We are disgraced, for we have been insulted, and shame covers our faces, because foreigners have entered the holy places of the Lord's house. But days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will punish her idols, and throughout her land the wounded will groan. Even if Babylon reaches the sky and fortifies her lofty stronghold, I will send destroyers against her, declares the Lord. The sound of a cry comes from Babylon, the sound of great destruction from the land of the Babylonians. The Lord will destroy Babylon. He will silence her noisy din. Waves of enemies will rage like great waters. The roar of their voices will resound. A destroyer will come against Babylon. Her warriors will be captured. Their bows will be broken. For the Lord is a God of retribution. He will repay in full.
But this is still history.
History and prophecy.
I'm having trouble seeing the prophecy.
Isn't
Because
Babylon
Babylon
gonna be
is not
destroyed
around
again?
anymore, right?
But if you remember, look in verse 8 of Revelation 14. A second angel followed and said, Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. But this is announced because earlier she was doing everything she wanted. And we're going to come to chapter 17 and 18. Specifically, chapter 18 is about the fall of Babylon. So during the tribulation period, this is what we talked about. Who is Babylon? Who is as the text says, Brandon talked about how, Brandon talked about how when he gets to do the chapters coming up, he's going to use the King James Bible so that he can say the word whore.
Again and again.
But who is the great whore of Babylon? And that's the Jehovah's Witnesses say it's all the churches that preach the Trinity and the deity of Jesus Christ. The great whore of Babylon, or the whatever it says here, the Babylon the prostitute. Many have said Babylon the prostitute is ecumenicism. I don't know if you know what ecumenicism is. Ecumenicism is the idea, let's unite all the churches together, and kind of the old Rodney King. Can't we just all get along? What can we agree on? God is love. You know what? We're just going to say God is love. We're not going to make waves over Jesus. If you don't want to believe in Jesus, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just God is love, right? As long as we agree with that, God is love. So some have said ecumenicism, where what happened with many church denominations that completely walked away from inerrancy of Scripture. They walked away from even deity of Christ.
Wow.
Others have said it's the Roman Catholic Church, that the great whore of Babylon is the Roman Catholic Church. Now we see a Roman Catholic Church in America that is somewhat affected by evangelicalism to a degree, but yet you go around the world and Roman Catholicism around the world oftentimes it looks like more superstitious than anything. Tons of superstition. And the reason why is because Roman Catholicism oftentimes looks like what they call syncretism, where you take...
But now, I know a girl that's in the Catholic Church, and they now are opening up the Bible to Bible studies in the Roman Catholic Church.
But didn't you hear what I said? The Roman Catholic Church in America has been affected by evangelicalism.
Yeah.
By evangelical churches. And so a lot of Roman Catholics are not nearly as some of the old ways of...
this works in all cultures. Even influence Roman Catholicism has had on evangelicalism. Like, I would say some of the ideology that you can lose your salvation.
Yeah.
Maybe you're an evangelical. You had that conversation with a Catholic and you weren't wrestling with that until you heard that for the first time. Or you go to Brazil and then there's tribal and cultural faith and religion that's going to influence your Catholic faith, or vice versa.
Down in Mexico, they have a festival called Day of the Dead. I forget the name of the actual date.
Yeah.
But this is a part of the church calendar year. The Day of the Dead.
Encanto.
Yeah, it
Encanto.
was. It was the movie thing. Yeah. But that's all mixed.
Isn't the Day of the Dead
It's
Halloween or the day after?
No, it's November 1st or 2nd.
Okay.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the day after Halloween it would be the Day of the Dead.
Day of Dead.
But that Day of the Dead gets lumped together into Roman Catholicism in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a cultural.
Oftentimes they will take all these cultural things and put it together, and so Roman Catholicism in America has taken, in many cases, evangelicalism, which praise God for that.
November 1st.
So some will say that the great whore is the Roman Catholic Church. Others, which tends to make more sense to me, which is just this one world government. This it's really the idolatry. We will refuse anything to do with God. So even evolution, which is really interesting, even evolution, which has been so prevalent in schools, evolution says there is no creator. I mean, that's the core tenet of evolution, is that there is no creator. Which Romans 1 says they deny, and it specifically says they deny the creator. Not they deny the earth is billions of years old or thousands of years old, but they deny a creator. Evolution, which is jammed down everybody's throat in school, says there is no creator. None. So, the system, how does it all play out? We don't exactly know what the great prostitute of Babylon or great whore, but the Babylon is whatever this is. It seems like, to your point, Ed, it seems like there is a near fulfillment that was fulfilled in the nation of Babylon, which was back in the day. But yet it gets quoted again in the book of Revelation as that which is to come in the book of Revelation during the tribulation period.
And the question is, what will be considered the Babylon?
Right. Yeah.
Might be fancy cars.
Well,
or it might be
might be idolatry. We just don't know.
So is it our job to figure out who the great whore of Babylon is?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. We can get caught up in it because we're trying to determine all these sort of things. We may not know until the tribulation period when it just comes to pass.
I'm not going to be
Well,
around
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Who's weak, Wasabi?
You got
got mouse in
You got worms?
Let's go. So anyway, you get the gist of this, how Jeremiah, Psalms is taking this idea of the cup of the wrath of God. That's what I'm driving at here. Let's go back to Revelation 14. He will be tormented. He too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength, or mixed full strength, into the cup of his wrath. He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb. What does that mean?
was it that said, I'm sure I should know this, I'm undone, my lips are unclean,
Oh
something
yeah, Isaiah.
like that?
Isaiah 6.
That was it? So, I mean, it feels like that is how we would feel in the presence of the Lamb, maybe. If that was what came to my mind. I mean, you're going to be tormented, and if you're not following Jesus, you're going to, if you said no and you've taken the beast, the mark of the beast, or am I just totally off track?
No, I mean, but the question's where? Where is this happening? You think it's hell?
I hear AC/DC playing in my head right now.
Hell's bells?
Take your earplugs out.
No, Highway to Hell.
Yeah, where is this torment happening? He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb. And of the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever.
Lake of fire.
If we do that, then is that where God's angels and the Lamb are going to be living?
Oh, it's saying they can, the smell's coming up to them. Right?
He will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb.
Continuing on, and the smoke of their torment goes up forever
Right.
and ever.
Rises forever and ever.
So if we go back to, I would say like the Hebrew cosmology, it seems like they're in Sheol by that point, not necessarily hell, like lake of fire. It's going up. There's an upward motion, whatever up is dimensionally.
Is it possible that this is a reference to something that's happening on earth, but it will take place in the presence of the angels and the Lamb who will be here on the earth?
He hasn't descended yet, though. This is pre-millennium.
Right, but we know what's coming. We know what's coming in that what will be taking place here in Revelation 18. It seems as if this is looking forward to what's going to be coming. Because this is the angel announcements in heaven. The angels talking to John, giving a foretaste of yet that which is to come. So it's saying, if anyone worships the beast, this is going to happen to them. They're going to be tormented with burning sulfur. The smoke of the torment will rise. This calls for patient endurance because their end has been decided, but the end is yet to come. What's happening is yet to come. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So he's looking down the road. Their end will be burning sulfur. Their end will be this. And there will be the smoke of their torment is going to rise. It doesn't seem like this is hell yet, but I'm not 1,000% certified on this. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we just have to look at here. But it seems weird that this would be talking about the lake of fire in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. It seems weird to talk like that. So if we go back to this, and the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. Now, this is what lends itself to more what Pastor Brandon is saying, in the sense of where is this coming from? And what's that?
So ECT.
Oh yeah. Brandon used the phrase ECT, stands for eternal conscious torment, versus what some call annihilationism, or what's called CI, conditional immortality. So that's you're either kind of there is no such thing as hell, or it's conditional immortality. In other words, if you die and you don't know Jesus, then you are annihilated. Boom, gone. If you do know Jesus, then you spend forever with him. Or ECT position, it says, eternal conscious torment. If you die and you don't know Jesus, you are forever tormented in hell. Eternal conscious torment.
Like the picture of millions of people crawling over each other. And
That's correct. That's correct.
And that's EET?
ECT. Eternal conscious torment.
Is that the whole Dante's Inferno thing? No?
Not,
Am I off
well,
base
no,
there?
no. Okay, Dante would be like a caricature of it because Dante is more fiction, almost based on more of an imagery of actual
I'm thinking
like
of the
Greek
picture.
Greek mythology.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's 9 layers of hell in Dante's Inferno, and it, like the actual way we would articulate hell would not be that way, because that's more of a work. Like Dante took like Greek mythology and interwove it with like Christian theology.
Okay.
And that still influences our theology today, even though it's not what they would have had in their mind at the point of like putting this together. It was, I mean, you had Sheol, you had the good side, Abraham's bosom, you had Hades, the bad side where others would go.
So if we look at this, it seems as if this torment is a very painful, long thing, you know. There is no rest, day or night, for those who worship the beast and his image, or for anyone who receives the mark of his name. It seems as if this imagery is one of you get it easy at the beginning, but it's really bad in the end. Or you have it bad at the beginning, but it's really good in the end. So which one do you want? Easy to start or really good at the end? Which is why he then goes on to say, verse 12, this calls for patient endurance on the part of the saints who obey God's commandments and remain faithful to Jesus. So those who are still on the earth, who have not received the mark of the beast, who are, like what you said earlier, Jackie, like, do I receive this? Do I not? You know, the temptation will be great, will be exceedingly great to take the mark of the beast. Now I can eat. Now I can buy and sell. Now I can do this. But once you take it, your fate has been sealed. So, as John is being told by this angel, it's going to take patient endurance to keep your eyes. No, I'm living during this time, but I refuse. I will not take the mark of the beast because I believe it's going to be better for me in the end. I will remain faithful to Jesus. Then I heard a voice from heaven say, write. Write. Get a pen. Write this down. Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they will rest from their labor, for their deeds will follow them. Those who die in the Lord, who do not take the mark of the beast, they are the ones who are going to receive the benefits, the joys, all those sort of things. Versus those who take the mark of the beast, not good at all. Yeah. Yeah. So we will pick up at verse 14 next week. Any questions on the rest of that?
No. How did you get to 14? That was a question.
How did I get to 14?
My
That's a good
goodness.
question.
5 verses? I don't know. 6 verses? I don't know.
I know. Shocking. Well, Brandon and I were talking about the schedule and where we're at and where we're going to be and everything. And I have a feeling, well, we will be continuing in the fall. Let's just say that.
Don't rush us.
At this point in time, it looks like we'll be doing 19 through 22 in the fall. That's what it
Did you
looks
say
like.
we're gonna be, when's the last time we're gathering?
It all depends on
Forget what we talked about.
what exactly where we lie. I really don't want to start another chapter, so it all depends on where we're at. But thanks, Ed. The plan probably right now is we'll be done by the 24th of June, which is that will be the last Tuesday in June. So we'll take July and August off, but probably toward the end of August we'll do another one of our
Happy dinners.
happy dinners, cookouts, whatever it is. Yeah, exactly.
It
That's
was
it.
August 27th last year.
Okay, all right.
I'm
So
glad
I
we
was
do that.
there.
I like doing that.
yeah, that was fun.
It really is.
We'll have everybody over to we'll have everybody over to Brandon and I's house.
You got it.
Did you get your floor done downstairs?
This is close. In fact, I gotta go back tonight and I gotta go back tonight and move a bookcase so we can finish the floor up to where that bookcase is.
So you're redoing your floors in your basement?
Yeah, we're putting in that LVT laminate click together stuff.
Nice.
We're doing that
You're
on the
making
main.
it sound really easy, but
We're doing that in the main section, and then putting in carpet in the bedroom where they'll be staying down.
Oh, roommate, huh?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it actually.
You will finally get more testosterone in your home.
It's been really estrogen high in my house, so we're looking forward to having a little.
Don't
extra.
you have one of Mel's friends living there too?
It'll still be
London.
unbalanced.
Yeah, London. So, you know, it's really cool. Just and I shared this with even
So
staff.
forever homeless, we know where to go, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the Louder household, the Louder hotel. No, it was really cool to see what God's doing because you know London comes from a completely pagan background, completely zero anything. So Friday night, she comes out and she's wearing a shirt because she's gonna go out with some friends. So the shirt says "Future MILF." Now, I don't know if you know what a MILF is.
Say?
It stands for Mom, I'd love to French kiss, but not the word French kiss, okay? So she walks out with a shirt, we're like, well, okay. I mean, she's not her daughter, what do we say, you know? So we're like, oh, okay. But Saturday, she goes to work and her boss says, hey, I want you to work from 3 to 8 tomorrow. She says, nope. She says, I like going to church on Sundays and then going to youth group at night. So she says, I'm going to work 1 to 5. You know, so you're like, future MILF on Friday. I will go to church and be in youth group on Sunday.
Yeah, but you
Baby
know
steps.
what?
We're for
Baby
progress,
steps.
not
Seeds-
perfection.
Exactly.
The seeds are being
planted.
sown.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because she never went to church, period. And now she's like, I actually want to come.
But
I
you
want
know
to be a part
what?
of this.
What really influences them is kids their own age having the word in the spirit,
Yeah,
and that's what they're seeking.
yeah, so true. So,
And they're at peace with themselves.
right.
Just trying to test
Some of my
people.
best memories were in youth group. Mom, if you only knew what went on in youth group.
That's funny. All right, who wants to wrap us up tonight? Anybody?
Anybody?
All right. Jerry, you want to close us out?
Okay.
Thanks, Jerry.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for tonight and all the people that are here. We just especially thank you for your word and help to impress upon us what it means and how we should act in your presence, Lord. And we just thank you for the people here and anybody that we're missing. And we just praise these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.